Now, the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
Being 3-0 so far, that's obviously the goal at the end of the day. What are you just liking right now about the group?
It's not a game of perfect, and there's always so many things that we can emphasize, get better at.
Looking for 100 yards, and he has done it!
As Michigan State's wide receiver coach told us in fall camp this year, it felt like there was a dark cloud over the Michigan State football program last season for a number of reasons. Well, now the sun is shining on the Spartans football program. A lot of it has to do with head coach Jonathan Smith, as the Spartans are off to a 3-0 start this season. And what's helped with the Spartans be perfect on the year? The leg of Jonathan Kim, who hit the game-winning field goal against Maryland 2 weeks ago. Kim caught up with our Haley Schoengart recently and shared with her the method to his madness when it comes to kicking the ball through the uprights.
One more deep breath for Jonathan Kim before a 37-yarder. He nailed it! Jonathan Kim with 1 second on the clock.
Everyone dreams of kicking the game-winning field goal from a very young age. For you, how did that moment live up to the expectations maybe 7-year-old Jonathan had in his head?
Yeah, it was awesome. You know, it's something kickers always dream of, and you never really know until the opportunity arises how you're going to do. So actually getting to the opportunity to do it and actually go out and do what I thought I was going to do was awesome. You know, just being on that stage, being in front of family and friends, it was awesome.
In the moment, seeing it go through the uprights, what was going through your mind? What did your teammates say? And then most importantly, your family was super close. They all kind of drove in. What did they say after the game?
I think the coolest thing was like before the kick even. My teammates were coming up to me like, you got it, you're good, you're good. So that was really cool, and then obviously it went through, and you know, we just celebrated. I don't know how many words were said. We were really just shouting on the field. I was trying to because I knew there was 1 second left, I was trying to gather everyone up. We got to kick off. We got to. So doing that, but then got to the locker room. It was really fun, singing, dancing, and then I got to go out and see my parents. So that was awesome. They were really excited. My mom was still shaking a little bit, but it was awesome. You
don't play every single snap. You only play a few times a game. How do you stay ready and locked in on the sidelines and just prepared for the moment when your name is called?
There's a kicking net that I'll just kick into here and there. I try not to kick too much so that my leg is still as fresh as possible by the end of the game in case that situation arises. So yeah, just kicking into the net here and there at the beginning of offensive drives, but then I normally just sit around and watch the defense.
Do you have any rituals, things that you have to do before you know you're going to go out there and kick?
No, no rituals. I pretty much just, kick into the net, feel good, and just go out and be ready.
Now, once you get out there, are you particular about the way things are set up? How many steps back, to the side?
The steps are what you practice your steps, and so you don't want to stray too far away from what you're used to. And then, Eckley does a great job of giving me a good hold every time. Eckley does a great job and not too particular. The biggest thing I would say is just going out and reminding myself that I'm playing for God and that He gives me peace, and you know, no matter the outcome, He's going to love me. So there's no difference in the outcome of the kick. Yeah,
do you pray to Him at all before you go out there, or when you're out there?
I mean, I pray before the game, and then before I go out on the field, I just thank God for the opportunity, whether I make it or not. I'm just thankful. I just take my sport as a way of worship and just a way to show my gratitude to Him.
And it's good.
Now, once you're out there, what's your secret sauce? How many steps back, how many steps to the side? You've really got it nailed down at this point, and I think that's the big question everyone wants to know. How do you do it?
Most kickers are pretty much 3 steps back and 2 to the side. Pretty basic, just gives you 3 steps to the ball, and it's consistent.
You're not just a kicker here on the football team. You also got married. You're a husband now.
I am.
Tell us a little bit about Abby and kind of the joy she brings to your life.
She's awesome. She just brings a peace. We used to do long distance, and being that far from your best friend was not fun. So getting to come home and see her every day, and she just keeps me grounded and just helps me grow in my faith. So she's been incredible.
Now, have you and Nate Carter been dishing out some marriage advice in the locker room as the 2 married men?
Here and there. When people ask, we won't ever just throw it on somebody, but if people ask, we're happy to talk about it.
Awesome. Okay, ready? Now for the fun part.
line it up again, 2 steps to the side, and I'll get set, make sure my shoulders are square to the ball. I'll stick this hand out like this, because this hand reminds me of my club angle. And then I ball up my fist, because you're supposed to ball up your toes. Just like if you're punching somebody, you don't want a loose knuckle. And then, yeah, I'll just take a small jab. I'm gonna step up a little bit because I'm gonna walk to it. So you take a small jab, next step, next step.
The kick is good. Okay, now I'll try. Like that? Okay. This is a lot harder than it looks. You make it look very effortless. Okay. No. No. I don't even know where to aim. Aim down there. Okay. I'll leave the kicking to you. Sounds good. Thanks so much, Jonathan.
Of course, thank you.
Kim has been as reliable as you can get as a college field goal kicker. He's 4 for 4 on the campaign and will look to remain perfect Saturday night when the Spartans take on Boston College. After the break, we're going to shift over to the defense and talk with another player who went closer to home for the game at Maryland. We'll see you soon.
In every moment and every shared smile, MSU FCU's Visa Signature Card is there, earning 3% cash back on groceries to stock their dorm room. 2% back on that special Spartan mom shirt. With a $100 welcome offer and the first year's annual fee waived, it's more than just a card. It's your partner in making every moment count, even the ones that tug at your heartstrings. Make every moment more rewarding with an MSU FCU Visa Signature Card.
Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
Wayne Matthews III was one of the top tacklers in the nation last season at Old Dominion and is quickly proving why he can produce at a Big Ten level. Matthews has 11 tackles in 3 games this season, including a 6-tackle performance at Maryland in Week 2. Our Tyler Driesinga caught up with him recently and has more on why that Maryland game was a little extra special for him.
Michigan State's Week 2 win over Maryland was a road game for the Spartans, but a homecoming for linebacker Wayne Matthews III.
Hit promptly there by Wayne Matthews, who's back in his home state, Largo, Maryland native.
Matthews went to high school at Charles Herbert Flowers High, just 12 miles down the road from CQ Stadium on Maryland's campus.
So what was your relationship with the University of Maryland growing up? Did you go to many games or anything like that?
I didn't really go to any games. You know, I took a couple visits there, you know, when I was in high school. I played 7-on-7 on the field, their practice fields and stuff like that. They recruited me for a little bit. It wasn't nothing, you know, like that. They didn't offer me anything, but, you know, going back, playing it for my family is just like, wow, it feels like high school again.
Matthews says he normally has 6 or 7 family members at a game, but back in his home state, the number was closer to 40.
And what was your mindset going into that game, you know, knowing you were going to get the chance to play in front of so many friends and family?
I gotta do my thing. I gotta give them a show, you know. It was a lot of family that I haven't seen in a while, so I wanted to make them feel like, you know, they came for a show.
Matthews gave them a show by making 6 tackles, the second most on the team that day, and his personal best through the first 3 games of his just beginning Spartan career. Matthews transferred to MSU this spring after 3 seasons at Old Dominion. After playing just 15 defensive snaps total in his freshman and redshirt freshman years, he took full advantage of an expanded role last fall, racking up 135 tackles for the Monarchs.
And did the weight that you had to kind of endure make the breakout season that you had last year, you know, even more satisfying?
Yeah, it was, you know, just that time, all the effort and pain that I went through, you know, during those 2 years, and to be able to fly around that the year after that it's awesome. It felt great.
The breakout year paved the way for Matthews to enter the transfer portal. While he loved his time at ODU, he was seeking a bigger and better opportunity at college football's highest levels.
I mean, they have a good amount of fans. Fan base there is, they're pretty good, but it's just a big difference from, you know, maybe 21,000 to 75,000 is just a major difference. So it was surreal.
And who are some of the people that have helped you get acclimated to this football program and to this campus?
When I first got here, the first person I contacted was Jordan Hall. You know, he was kind of the first person to, you know, show me around campus, you know, take me to this church down the street. It's called Sept. So, he kind of, you know, brought me in with open arms.
Between Hall and senior Cal Halliday, the linebacker room was one of the few pieces of MSU's roster with continuity and experience returning from last season. But Matthews has fit right in, carved out a significant role. In just 3 games into his MSU career, that Week 2 victory has already given him a Spartan memory he'll never forget.
Jonathan Kim with 1 second on the clock.
Where were you when Jonathan kicked the game-winning field goal, and then what was your reaction to it?
I was sitting on the sideline, my helmet off. You know, some guys were cheering. I was like, yo, we gotta chill. You know, it didn't happen yet, but when it happens, we can go crazy. When he made it, I was like, man, like you usually see these things happen on TV, but when it's happening in real life, it's crazy, it's mind blowing.
What was the most meaningful part of that trip back to Maryland for you, and why?
Just like I said before, just seeing family that I haven't seen in a while, just come and support me. You know, maybe they don't call me all the time. Maybe they'll text me sometimes, but it's just knowing that they still support me through everything. They came to watch me, so that meant the most to me.
One other touch that made the Maryland game extra special for Matthews was that Michigan State made him an honorary captain for the game, and something that made the Week 3 matchup here at Spartan Stadium against Prairie View A&M special for Michigan State athletics was that it was Hall of Fame weekend. We'll have a recap of the ceremony right after the break.
I love getting out and trying new things, but my seizures have always kept me back. Thankfully, the providers and researchers at MSU Healthcare work together to get my epilepsy under control. So now I can try anything.
At MSU Healthcare, helping you do you is what matters most to us. In fact, it's our mission. Visit healthcare.msu.edu to find a provider.
On the football field, it's important to have really good coverage. The same goes for life. You need a teammate who's got your back, no matter what. Right now, it's time to select your family's Medicaid health insurance provider for next year before it's assigned for you. Just visit healthcareformi.com before September 17th to compare your options. Take control of your healthcare today because good coverage really matters, right, Nick?
Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
This past week, Michigan State Athletics celebrated its 2024 Hall of Fame class by inducting 6 individuals and 2 teams. And prior to this year, there have been 180 students, coaches, and administrators inducted into MSU's Hall of Fame, but never a team. That all changed with the 1965 and 1966 National Championship football teams, and they were all honored at halftime of the Prairie View A&M game last Saturday. So here's a recap of how everything went for them. The Clarabelle Smith Center is home to Michigan State's Athletics Hall of Fame, and last Friday evening, Athletic Director Alan Haller led each of the inductees this year to their Hall of Fame plaques. First up was Okemos grad and former MSU softball standout Jessica Beach-Bograkis, who became the 8th Spartan softball player to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Just doing the plaque reveal, I thought I could do it. I got a little wobbly. It's just such an honor to see your name with some of the other the legends that are up on that wall.
Former MSU hockey player Anson Carter was in attendance as well and had his daughters reveal his plaque. Anson spent 11 years in the NHL and led MSU with 34 goals as a junior in 1995.
I think back to 1992 when I first stepped foot on campus. It isn't something I ever thought about. It really isn't. And to be able to share this moment with my family, I wish my parents could have been here. My parents were still in Toronto, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit later on. My dad had a stroke a few years ago, so they don't travel, but they're doing well health-wise. But they're such a big part of my life.
Also in this year's class is Darquez Denard, the only Jim Thorpe Award winner in the history of Michigan State football. Denard won the Jim Thorpe Award during the 2013 season for being the best defensive back in the country. He was also a unanimous first-team All-American that season and helped the Spartans win the Rose Bowl. Keeping the football theme rolling, the 1965 and 1966 football teams went a combined 19-1-1 in the two seasons, with the one tie being to Notre Dame in 1966, which is often called the game of the century. Perhaps the biggest impact the teams had was off the field, as head coach Duffy Daugherty was one of the first college football coaches to put together a racially integrated team with many African American players from the South. Jimmy Ray was the quarterback on both of those teams and shared with us the legacy that they left.
It changed intercollegiate football at the Division I level, particularly in the South. It had a tremendous impact in the Jim Crow South, where we came from. Myself, George Webster, and Bubba Smith, and Jimmy Summers, Jimmy Garrett, Charlie Mad Dog Thornhill. There was a lot of guys that couldn't go to school, get an education, and play athletics in the South.
The rest of the class includes Paul Tarek from men's track and field, Beth Roll Sailors from women's track and field, and Laura Cooney Smith from women's golf. With Michigan State now 3-0 on the season, next up is a game at Boston College Saturday night with kickoff set for 8 p.m. on the ACC network. And to get ready for that matchup, we're going to be chatting with head coach Jonathan Smith after the break. But first, here's our play of the week.
Now, the play of the week, sponsored by Schupan & Sons.
This past Friday, the Michigan State men's soccer team took down Washington 1-0. Big thanks to Brandon Munson and his bicycle kick save at the goal line to keep the Huskies off the scoreboard. The ball got past the goalkeeper, and Munson was there to save the day as the ball was headed to the corner of the net. An incredible save that was even #1 on SportsCenter's top 10 plays last Saturday.
Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
Last Saturday, Michigan State's football team improved to 3-0 with a 40-0 win over Prairie View A&M, as the Spartans are now 3-0 for the first time since 2021. And going 4-0 will not be an easy task, as the Spartans play at Boston College Saturday night at 8 o'clock. We had a chance this week to catch up with head coach Jonathan Smith to talk about last week's win against Prairie View A&M, as well as this upcoming matchup with the Eagles.
Obviously, you take down Prairie View, move to 3-0. Just what did you like in general about the win over Prairie View?
I liked the approach during the week. I thought it showed up on Saturday with, from start to finish, these guys, playing really hard, executing, pretty solid. So I was pleased with that. Pleased with getting a lot of guys in the game. We've got a lot of guys on this team working really hard. Not everyone can get in the game, and so felt good about seeing some of these young guys get out there and be able to operate.
Yes, someone who's not young but was able to play, Tommy Schuster.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's played a lot of football prior to coming here at North Dakota, 42 career starts. Just what's it been like having him with the room, especially working with a younger guy like Aiden?
Yeah, it's been great having Tommy. He's played well. He's practiced well. I think understand the scheme and those things with the veteran that he is, it benefits the room, and it's really a good quarterback room in my mind with Aiden, Tommy, Alessio, and Rylan, those guys working well together, and like where the direction in that room's going.
He said on Saturday he wanted to come play for a team in his home state. That was sort of the goal. When you saw him enter the portal, or when you discovered him, what was sort of the first interactions like with him?
Well, you could just see obviously the stats and the tape of the experience, and we did feel like having another quarterback with that type of experience would benefit us, and it really has.
Now he's flexed out here, and Peters is looking down the right side and throwing it in the direction of Goodwin, but this one's intercepted in the end zone. This is not coming back like the last one did for Chuck Bradley, and he's got a lot of room to run. He intercepted in the end zone. He's running all the way across the field, trying to run it all the way down the field, looking for 100 yards, and he has done it!
Also, Chuck Brantley on Saturday, the 100-yard pick return. He's obviously a guy who's been around the program the last 4 years. What have you enjoyed about him?
I've enjoyed Chuck. The energy he plays with, football means a ton to him. I do think he's instinctive and smart back there. You know, he's got some experience. And so with his instincts, he's competitive, and he's got good ball skills. I know, you're talking about the one interception, but just throughout the time, you throw it in his direction, he can get hands on it. He can usually catch it.
McNamara looking. Intercepted! Bradley! Ball game!
Yeah, for a lot of fans, they remember this memorable moment he had his freshman year, a game-sealing interception against Michigan. He's dealt with injuries the last couple of years, but what have you liked, too, about maybe how he's become a leader for the defense, too, being a senior?
I think his story, he's overcome, he's resilient, competitive, and so, yeah, being one of the stronger voices, especially in that secondary, I think it's a really good thing. We've got multiple guys there, have some influence on defense in the secondary, and Chuck's definitely one of them.
And then maybe on the bad side of the win, you talked about the penalties. Obviously, that's maybe a reoccurring issue for this group. But I was looking, Georgia, as good as they are, they average like 8-9 penalties a game. So it feels like it just happens in a game.
Yeah, there's a fine line to it. Yeah, again, the goal is not to just be penalty free, but we got to play smarter. We got to play with better technique. It's going to catch up to us, that kind of thing. And it's not like players are disregarding it. It's not like coaches are not even addressing it. But we got to find a better place and not being in the double digits during the game.
Yeah, how do you maybe attack that during the week at all?
Well, we definitely show it on tape, and then when we implement some drills, again, there's so many different types of penalties, but the penalties we've got to clean up are before the whistle, especially offensively, some of the procedural type things. And then after the whistle, we want to be really smart, and we had too many of those after the whistle.
And it seemed like, too, on Saturday, you were really trying to establish that run. I know you've talked about how you want to see more out of that, but what did you think of the way they played on Saturday?
Yeah, I thought the balance was there. I think, Nate has the one explosive runs. We got to continue to be a little bit more efficient. We had too many, runs that end up in the backfield, that kind of thing. And again, that O-line, the tight end group, those guys are working. We got a lot of guys kind of the first time together, and we're working through some hiccups the first 3 weeks in there, but if those guys keep approaching it and learning and growing, we'll get better.
And now getting ready to go on the road once again at Boston College. Obviously, you talked earlier about how it's going to be a tough environment, red bandana game. What are you just doing to get the guys ready for this atmosphere?
Yeah, this energy will be exciting. This is what we want to do in college football, playing raucous stadiums and things, and so we're going to have to bring our own energy there. I do think it's meaningful to be able to participate in the red bandana game with such a, like I say, meaningful story, and we'll definitely talk to the guys throughout the week about that, and looking forward to it.
I don't know if this is a dumb question, but one of their wins is against Florida State, who obviously their quarterback, DJU, a guy that was your starting quarterback last year. Is that at all helpful for the defense going over film because you know DJ's tendencies, or is that not really how that works?
It's interesting. I don't know if it's totally helpful. Obviously, Boston College played really well and made it hard on Florida State on offense there. That's a big-time win for their opener to go down there and beat those guys. And then I look at them against Missouri, who's a really good team, and they went toe-to-toe with those guys. So, in particular, just to the quarterback, I don't think so. They do have our attention. We're respected. This is a good football team.
Okay, I was just curious if that would all work at all for you guys, but obviously their quarterback, Thomas Castellanos, sort of similar to who you played against FAU and the way he's able to run. I believe he had over 1,000 yards last year.
Yeah.
How do you help to contain him?
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, you look at last year, what he was able to do. I think he threw for over 2,000 yards and ran for over 1,000. He can beat you in multiple ways. They do a good job schematically with his skill set too. Ability to, in the run game, because he's such a threat, it helps when he hands the ball off. So it's a lot to undertake, and it all starts with him.
Being 3-0 so far, that's obviously the goal at the end of the day. What are you just liking right now about the group?
I like the work. They're the way they're preparing, practicing, learning. It's not a game of perfect, and there's always so many things that we can emphasize to get better at, and challenging ourselves. So just liking our approach so far.
If you aren't familiar with the Red Bandana game, it's an annual tradition Boston College does to honor the life of former BC lacrosse player Wells Crowther, who was in the World Trade Center's South Tower on 9/11 and led multiple strangers to safety before he lost his life when the tower collapsed. So it should be a very special environment Saturday night for both the Spartans and the Eagles. That's going to be it for this week's show. We hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you next week.
We could all use more joy, more silly, more laughter and love. When you make more room in your heart and home for a Michigan child in foster care, you don't just give this joy, you receive it. Become a foster parent to a child until they can safely reunite with their family. Get started at michigan.gov/hope for a home.